All right, AEW Dynamite Go Home show for All In starts off with Mercedes and Tony Storm. They finally have their final face-to-face promo. Starts off with Mercedes. She wants a toast, and she ends up toasting to herself as becoming your future AEW Women's Champion. Tony responds, ends up saying that she's not like the other women that she has faced, that she treats her like an underdog, and that Mercedes has the authenticity of a spray tan in a rainstorm. And then she ends up saying that emotionally she has the depth of a kiddie pool. And then she ends up saying that she is a pussy face fraud. Then she ends up saying that all the belts that Mercedes has is just a max to hide something. And then she ends up saying that what is Mercedes afraid of? Mercedes responds back, ends up saying that she will always be better than Tony Storm and that she's not afraid of anything, she's not hiding anything, and that she is the alpha of the women's division, that she's basically her own women's revolution, that she's the very best. Then Tony Storms responds back, ends up mentioning legacy, ends up saying that legacies don't exist because we all die one day and we all will be forgotten. It's all about that one moment that matters, and that she ends up saying that Mercedes fears an ordinary life, but she fears an ordinary death. This was a great segment. This was a great back and forth. This is what we needed more of. We needed more of this on the build to All In, not them just watching each other matches and having them eat steak dinners consistently. This is what we needed more of. This was great. I have little to no complaints. At the end of the promo, getting Tony Storm. I forgot exactly what she said, but she said something. She might have called her a bitch at one point. She tries to attack. They was about I think Tony Storm had her in the Monet Maker, if I'm not mistaken. Is that what the move is called? I might have actually forgot her finishing move, but she puts Mercedes in her own finishing move. Oh, the Statement Maker, I think that's what it's called. But she puts her in her own finishing move, and then you end up getting Mercedes ends up escaping and then running away, and that's the end of the segment with Tony Storm's holding the AEW World Championship, and then she starts doing her typical shenanigans where she starts lying on the ground and all that. But this was a great segment. This is what we needed more of. I wish we would have got more of this towards the build of All In, instead of them just watching each other matches and just eating dinners on outside. But this was great. This was a great way to start the show. I wish we would have got more of this, but this was a really good way to start the show. Now, who wins at All In? That's very tricky. I'm To be honest, it really doesn't matter because whoever wins this it really does nothing for nobody. But I'm assuming Mercedes is going to win, but I'm going to go more in depth on that on my AEW All In predictions. But afterwards, we end up getting MJF and Mark Brisco. They end up having a face-to-face promo. This is really just the build towards the Casino Gauntlet match for the men. But they've been having a little bit back and forth for the past few weeks. I haven't really mentioned it mainly because I just don't care and I just don't understand why. Like, this is, no offense to Mark Briscoe, this is just so beneath MJF that it's just very unnecessary. It just feels very forced too. I just don't understand why this is even a feud, to be honest. And plus, Mark Briscoe is just more of an enhancement talent where he feuds with people, but he always loses the big match. Where he's the typical babyface that defends the honor of the company, who does the right thing and all that. But every time he's in the actual big match, he loses. That's why I just didn't care. But the promo segment was solid. It starts off with MJF saying that Mark Briscoe is a low-life, pathetic, white redneck. And Mark Briscoe responds back, ends up saying that he could call him all the names and all that, but he's proud of who he is. And then he ends up mentioning how MJF is rich and all that, but he ends up saying that MJF is really bankrupt morally. He says that he has no soul and that he already knows what MJF is going to do next. He's very predictable and ends up saying that all he's going to do is talk about his brother. MJF ends up saying that, Mark Briscoe is wrong. He starts talking, highly praised of his brother and how he would never disrespect him. But then he ends up flipping it, ends up saying that he does pity his brother because he knows that his brother is watching him right now and that he's disappointed of who Mark Briscoe has become, and that right now he is, if he was here, he would say that it should have been Mark that should be gone and not him. Mark Briscoe, of course, attacks MJF. Then you get the Hurt Syndicate comes out. Then you end up getting Jet Speed. They come out, attack the Hurt Syndicate. MJF and Mark Briscoe ends up running off to the into the crowd all the way to backstage. Then we just get a brawl between Jet Speed, the patriarchy and Hurt Syndicate, where the patriarchy and Jet Speed basically just double team the Hurt Syndicate, and that's the end of that segment there. This segment wasn't bad. It was fine for what it was. The promo between Mark Brisco and MJF was solid. I don't understand why this is really a feud, but it was a solid segment nonetheless. I do feel like the double team of the Hurt Syndicate did drag out a bit because it lasted like 5 minutes. I don't really think it needed to be 5 minutes. You could have done it in like 2 or 3, but nonetheless, I understood what they was going for. Then afterwards, we ended up getting the number 2 spot Casino Gauntlet match, qualifying match to see who will be the second woman in the Casino Gauntlet match. Megan Bayne picks up the victory. I'm not going to really go that in depth on the match. I'm really not. It was a fine match. Megan Bayne was kind of the obvious choice because there's no other woman that they've really been building up for that spot anyway. Very interested to see who actually wins that Casino Gauntlet, because whoever wins that match, I have zero confidence in them actually winning the AEW World Championship, because AEW has proven that they don't care about no other women. If you're not Toni Storm or Mercedes, you're not important. So I'm very interested to see who actually wins that match, and if they actually do anything, which I don't think so. They might just do a Christian Cage situation where they fail it. So I have little to no hope, but we'll see how it plays out at All In. We end up getting Samoa Joe, Wheeler Yuta. They have a match. Don't really know why this match was on the card. Samoa Joe obviously wins. Then you get Gabe Kidd. He finally makes his return, even though he's been gone for a while now. Don't even understand why he's in this storyline, but he is. He returns, attacks Samoa Joe. Then you get the rest of the ops, Hobbs and Yuta. They come out. Wheeler Yuta and Gabe Kidd run off, and then this easily transition into the main event, which leads to Will Ospreay, Hangman, who was the Hobbs and Yuta, of course. I almost forgot the full team. Versus the Young Bucks, Moxley and Claudio. The heels picked up the victory. Then you end up getting the typical attack between all the teams. We know this is how the show is gonna end. The babyfaces and heel, they basically have a brawl. They attack each other. Then you get the heels, of course, get the advantage due to the numbers game. You get them about to put not trash bags, but they was about to get plastic bags. They was about to put plastic bags on all the baby faces. But then you end up getting on the Titantron, Swerve Strickland, and he gets some type of construction vehicle. I forgot. I know what the construction vehicle name. I just can't like say it, or I know I've heard of it before, but I'm probably just forgetting the actual name of it. But he gets some type of construction vehicle, and he's right by the limo that the Young Bucks ride in, and he ends up destroying it with the construction vehicle. The Young Bucks run off to, of course, confront to see what's going on with their limo. It gets completely annihilated. Then the baby faces start overcoming the odds, and they end up standing tall, and that's how we end Dynamite. Overall show, it was fine. I do think the beginning of the show and mainly the first hour of the show was mainly decent. It did start to go downhill towards the second half, but overall, the show wasn't bad. It was a decent show overall. You guys let me know your overall thoughts and opinions down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. But yeah, that's it.